Welcome back, you guys. I'm Nini FC. This is Blue Line CV, and today I'm bringing you guys another news daily video. Now, the current situation with the coronavirus has become even crazier. I'm going to be giving you guys the latest reports, the latest stories, what's going to be happening with the Premier League, with the Champions League, and with some of the fitness and health of some of our players as well. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to be talking about the latest surrounding Hakim Ziyech and him wanting the club to sign Onana. Of course, to end things, I'll be talking about Jeremie Boga and the latest reports surrounding the player. But now, without wasting any more time, we start with the main story today, and that's in regards to what's happening with COVID-19. Now, late last night, I get up really late in the night just to use the bathroom, get myself some water as well. Of course, I got to check Twitter. Maybe it's because I'm addicted to the app, who knows? But I was so shocked by the story I read. Hudson Odoi, had become infected by the coronavirus. Now, absolutely mad. The great news is that earlier today, Callum came out himself to talk about his current situation. He's feeling fine, he's recovered, and here's what he had to say.
Hi guys, as you may be aware, I had the virus for the last couple of days, which I've recovered from. I'm following the health guidelines and self-isolating myself from everybody for the week. I hope to see everybody soon and hopefully be back on the pitch very soon. Take care.
Now, it's great to know that he's made a full recovery. It's absolutely crazy just how unfortunate he's been during this past 12 months. I mean, ACL injuries, illness, hamstrings. It's been a lot to go through. I definitely feel it's a period in his life that's really gonna make him more mentally stronger and tougher. But it's actually crazy just how quickly this guy seems to recover from everything. I mean, it took him like 2 months to recover from an ACL. He's recovered from coronavirus in a week. By the time we found out yesterday, the player had already recovered, and the player's taking the responsible steps by self-isolating, which is the recommended thing to do. But now that we know that Callum is okay, what does this mean for the rest of the club? Now today, Cobham has been partially closed down. Any personnel in close contact with Hudson Odoi have been told to stay at home and self-isolate. The club have sent cleaning specialists to fully sanitize the entire training grounds, but now we know how our club is handling the situation. What does this mean for the Premier League? What does this mean for Europe? In the Premier League right now, they've officially confirmed after they had a meeting with all their shareholders that they are going to postpone the Premier League until the 3rd of April. So it looks like we're going to have at least 3 weeks without football. Now, if you're asking me, in the grand scheme of things, I mean, it doesn't really matter because, human life, human health, these things should always be the most important thing and the most valued things. So if that means that our entertainment has to be put to the side for a tiny bit, so be it. It's actually crazy though that the Premier League took so long to come to a conclusion. It took until managers in Arteta and players in Hudson Odoi and potentially players from Leicester and many other clubs got the actual virus. Now, maybe it's not the best time for me to say something like this, but sometimes I think of the cruel irony. Due to how scary things are with the virus, is this situation being helped by weak leadership? Weak leadership that a lot of people in the country voted in for. You're looking at Boris Johnson and he looks so out of his depth. It's just embarrassing. And all across the world, all these useless right-wing leaders are struggling to actually find the most effective measures to safeguard their people from this virus. But you know what? I don't want to even delve into it even deeper. Let's continue on with the news. The Premier League finally took action after having a meeting with all the shareholders, and typically, especially in the country and world we live in, shareholders always have the final say over everything, it seems. Now, if the current situation does get worse with the virus, the league could further be suspended. At this point in time, we don't know what the final answers are going to be. It's a situation that could get worse, it could be handled. It's very fluid at this point in time. Could the league be cancelled and, Liverpool's hopes completely over? Who knows? I mean, there's about 9 games left, so if that was to happen, maybe they could find solutions to just postpone the league. But, with the Euros potentially being still a thing in the summer, at this point in time, we don't know what's going to happen with the remainder of the season. Now, we know that there's only 9 games left, but due to the circumstances, due to how fluid the situation is, things could get worse, and we should brace ourselves for the league being postponed for even longer. The Premier League solution is to just broadcast games live, play matches in empty stadiums. Anyone that's a season ticket holder, reports have said that they'll get access to these special streams, so this could be a solution to keep things going. But however, with how fluid this situation is, we don't know how much worse things could get, so we should brace ourselves for anything. Anyway, UEFA came out with a statement themselves, and they confirmed that next week's Champions League games are going to be postponed. So at the time, Bayern vs Chelsea was going to be played in an empty stadium. That's going to happen anymore. The game is going to be cancelled instead, and games have been cancelled indefinitely. So there's no time periods. Now, what does this mean for the rest of the tournament? What does this mean for the Euros? We don't know. It seems like UEFA are going to have a 55-man committee via video conference on the 17th of March next week. So let's see what happens with this situation. Hopefully things can get a bit better, you guys. But, we have to accept that, things can be serious. Does this mean that we need to just be scared and panic and act irresponsible? No. I think if anything, this is a time to be even more responsible, to hold yourself to even more accountability. We have to look after our health more. Like, for example, if you're going to go to the shop and you need to buy yourself some, anti-back wipes or something like that, do you need to buy 10 of them? This is a time where you have to be responsible. There could be other people that need it. From this virus, it tends to be the older people that really struggle more with things, or people that have previously existing health conditions. We have to be a bit more responsible. We've got to think of everyone. You know what I mean? So I think that's the only way to really manage ourselves responsibly during these times. But if you're asking me, maybe our daily livelihoods could be affected a tiny bit. I mean, I do YouTube. Not having any latest football news to talk about could affect things, but if you're asking me, it doesn't really bother me at all. I'm a content creator. It's my job to be creative and find content for you guys. So this is no excuse at all. Any content creator that uses the current situation as an excuse, well, they just weren't good enough in the first place. I was going to say it straight. But you guys, on that note, we're now going to move on to the two stories for today, hopefully to just make things a bit more positive. I'm going to talk about Onana and Ziyech. Now, this story has been reported by the Daily Mail, and they're stating that Hakim Ziyech has been trying to get the club to sign one of his good friends, Onana, the goalkeeper from Ajax. Now, we just signed Hakim Ziyech, incredible buy for 36 to 37 million. It still feels quite surreal. It still doesn't make sense that we actually signed a player like this. We never signed borders like this. Anyway, regardless, it seems like Ziyech is really going to back his boy. He's really going to sell that propaganda to hopefully get the club to sign his good friend and a very good goalkeeper. Now, we already know that Onana has publicly spoken about the club in praise. He's spoken about being happy to play for us if the opportunity ever came. A player can't say things like this for no reason if there wasn't some truth behind the rumors. So if you're asking me, it's obvious that we have been looking at Onana. He knows of this and he's trying to sell himself even more to hopefully get the club to buy him on a permanent. Onana is a very popular keeper in demand. Clubs like Barcelona and Spurs are showing interest in the player due to their current number one's positions being a bit uncertain right now, due to maybe Lloris not being as good anymore and to Stegen's current contract situation. Now for me, I'd be interested to know what Ziyech is actually saying, because there's one thing I definitely know when it comes to Dutch people and Dutch professional footballers especially, due to how they appreciate tactics in the tactical part of the game, these guys are a lot more clued up than your average football player. Maybe Ziyech is providing some unique insights that maybe people at the club don't know of to really boost the chances of them signing Onana. Just from watching his interviews, Ziyech does come across as a very clued up individual. He does not seem like an idiot at all, so it would be very interesting. If you're asking me, I would sign another keeper. We need competition for Kepa. We don't know at this point in time just how good he can be. If he never reaches those levels, we need another goalkeeper to help us in the current situation. With Kepa, we need to accept that when a keeper costs 71 million, when he's on 200k per week on a 5-year deal, it means that you are never ever making any money back from the player. If we were to sell him in the summer, we're probably getting half that money back, or most likely he goes on loan indefinitely until his contract runs out. We don't want to be in that situation again. The smart thing to do is to keep Kepa's value as high as possible every single year. As I've been saying, I like the idea of competition. I want two different keepers with two different styles. Onana is better on the ball, Kepa is better in the air, I guess. That way they can compete. You know, if we constantly rotate them, we can use each keeper for different games, and maybe that's the future of football. You know, instead of just having your first 11 of your best players and your backup and squad players not being as good, maybe the key is to have lots of good players that you're constantly rotating, depending on the opposition that you're going to face. Regardless though, Kepa has responded extremely well to being dropped from the team. I've really liked his response. His performances against Everton and Liverpool have been very good as well, so let's still keep some faith and let's see what happens, because at the end of the day, and as Lampard himself has said, every player's future is up to them. And you guys, on that point, we're going to end things with the final story for today, and that's the latest in regards to Jeremie Boga, a man that is definitely in very high demand. Now, the story is today that Jose Mourinho from Tottenham, they're looking at Jeremie Boga. He wants more attacking options, and I guess it's no surprise that they turn their attentions to the player. Now, at this point in time, we do have the advantage because of that buyout clause where we can sign this amazing talent for £13 million. If Jadon Sancho decides to stay at Dortmund for another season, which could be a very realistic possibility, and I'm going to say briefly why. That's because with all the latest reports coming out, there's nothing substantial and nothing new. You know, I've been covering stories for how many seasons now. You start to see a lot of patterns. You start to notice a lot of details. You can start to just understand and judge the conclusion to stories. There's nothing conclusive since reports that came out a few months ago stating why Sancho would sign for us or for Man United or for anyone else. If anything, the reports do suggest that Sancho could realistically stay at Dortmund for another season. If that's the case, you guys, it doesn't matter because we need to sign another attacking player. With guys like Pedro and Willian being able to leave at the end of the season, we are one man short. And for £13 million, I think Jeremie Boga could be the perfect player to sign. Now, it's funny to me that whenever Boga scores a goal in the league, it seems like a new club just spawns out from nowhere, starting to show interest in the player. I mean, it's us, it's Barca, it's Napoli, it's Everton, clubs from France as well. I could literally go on. But if you're asking me, Boga wants to return back to the club. He feels like he has unfinished business. In a recent interview over the past few days, he spoke to DAZN via goal.com, where he spoke about his respect for Hazard and how he hopes to reach this level one day. Now, it was quite funny because Boga came out on social media to be like, yo, why have you misconstrued what I said? I never said I was better than Hazard. You're just completely just milking it for clickbait. So it's nice that he spoke out. But for me, you know, that interview really told me that Boga has the self-belief and the confidence, and I think a lot of times it's the psychological side that we just don't respect enough. You know, how many good players have we signed that struggled mentally, and due to those mental struggles, they underperformed and could never show their very best? You know, the mental side, the confidence in the player can always be really important as well. If you're asking me, I can't imagine Boga relishing the opportunity to work with Mourinho instead of signing for us and playing with us. And you know, I know some people might think that Boga isn't the solution, he's playing for Sassuolo, but these reasons aren't strong or good enough or detailed enough to explain exactly why he isn't good enough to play for us. I mean, throughout the season, all our players have been critiqued. I mean, this guy's not good enough, that guy's not good enough. Yet at the end of the day, we're still fourth, we're still challenging, and the future's looking really bright. As I keep stressing, Boga already understands the club. He knows the people working behind the scenes. He knows his teammates. He knows the system. He knows how to play it. He knows all these things. When you sign a player like this again, you know, it's like a massive advantage in that sense. He doesn't need any settling down periods. And, you know, as I've been saying, and as you guys know, I've been a big fan of Boga for years. Like, literally since I started the channel like 4 or 5 seasons ago. It's been absolutely mad. I always believe his talent since I've seen him play live, since I've watched his games with the youth team as well. I just always knew that he was going to reach these levels and one day just get this praise. With his skill set, his ability to beat his man, his ability to create opportunities for himself, you know, score goals out from nothing. These are the qualities that big teams like us need to have. I mean, every big team has had players like this, but you profit from them. I mean, Eden Hazard, without this player over the past few years, I don't think we would have won a single thing. That's how real I'm being. And if Boga was to sign, he can compete alongside Hudson Odoi, Pulisic, Ziyech, Mason and others for a first team spot. I think he's good enough to do that, and I think he's relished the opportunity. So you guys, let's see what happens there. And you guys, on that note, I'm going to wrap things up and keep things moving. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. I'm Nini FC. This is Blue Lions TV. See you guys in a bit.